call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting for the Holiday Island City Advertising Promotion Commission, September 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. If you could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary, if you want to take the attendance.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Elwood?
Here.
Chairman Holland?
Here.
Vice Chair Lawler?
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Lodewijks? Here. Commissioner Plumley?
Here.
Commissioner Scroggins?
Here.
All here, Mr. Chairman.
All here. Moving on to the minutes. We have a regular meeting, August 5th.
We need to approve the agenda first.
Oh, I have it. That's
I'll make
correct.
a motion
No,
to
you're
approve
good.
the agenda.
We have a first and second. All right, 10 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Again? Moving on to the minutes now. Thanks for catching me on the minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve can we approve them together, or should we do, I guess we can approve.
We can approve them together if you want to make a
I'll
motion.
make a
for it.
motion, we approve the minutes for August 5th and August 13th as circulated.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second, so we should do a roll call vote on that.
You want
Is what we've been doing. You'll do a roll call vote on those minutes.
Commissioner Brown?
Aye.
Commissioner Elwood?
Aye.
Chairman Holland?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lawler?
Aye.
Secretary Treasurer Lodewijks? Aye. Commissioner Plumley?
Aye.
Commissioner Scroggins?
Aye.
All right. Do that. Moving on to reports. Secretary, go do the financial report.
Yes, you'll notice we're making money because we get an interest-bearing account. So we have $30 more to our account this time. We've had a $250 check was sent out to the Ribs and Rides coordinator for additional promotion. And so our balance now is $8,590.32.
Okay. Any questions on the financials?
Motion.
We do not need a motion. You do not have to approve financials now.
You can just discuss them.
Yep. We can just discuss it. If there's any questions about it, then it's time to ask it. If not,
Hey, what was the name of the 250?
It was also, it was called the Rib Cook-Off Association. They were the ones that were organizing it, and they were using the 250 for boosting, which they have done.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm. And they'll give us another report after the event.
Good.
any other questions on the financials? If not, moving on to business. The old business first, which is discussion on HIAPC 24-011 and the city resolution 2024-009, which this is just discussion on the city passed the social media resolution at their last meeting. The only reason it's on the discussion right now is to try to figure out what to do with it right now. The problem we have with it, we hoped for September being when we could use social media. And even though the resolution is in place to have the accounts in place, the biggest problem we have with the social media right now is the retention policy for the data. At this point right now, the city retention part puts it to where we have to record every conversation off-site. And the administration part of that is just too much to do at this point. And so the question is, at this point that I covered earlier today, would give us the option to go ahead and write a resolution that would cover our record retention for the commission itself, so that we can proceed with that.
I'm not quite sure you're worried about retention of off, so we don't have off-site meetings.
It's not the meetings, it's the actual social media posting that currently does not have any record retention policy in place, other than the standard city retention At the last city meeting, there was a conversation about the retention policy ordinance that did not get passed, that was tabled for another day. The problem with that is that while we were looking for September to be that, the city put it in ordinance form, which would take 3 readings. We're looking at 3 months out. So at this point, we can pass our own resolution pertaining to the social media retention policy.
Okay.
And move forward with
And then
that.
when the third reading for the city.
We could revert back to their,
Revert back to that.
we can make our own policies in the commission away from the city policies themselves.
It'd have to be in the form of like a resolution, because we can't make ordinances. But
That's
it'd be
correct.
a resolution.
It'd be a resolution that we would
Okay.
create that, because the policy itself that's looking for it is that the site, the social media would be the retention policy. If social media, Facebook or any other ones deleted the post, there's obviously no way for us to get that post back to fulfill FOIA. So the policy has to be made so that we don't run into that issue of not having something recorded when another third party deletes it. So
I got you.
the option right now is to write one, and if that's the case, we would go to write one and make it. That's really the only discussion that's in place right now. We don't have one at this point. We were hoping for the city to pass it.
We had one reading at the city.
It did not pass. It got tabled.
Did I-
Because that record retention policy covered a lot of different documents, not just the social media retention. It covered everything from ordinances to resolutions, financials. There were a lot of questions left on the table of different documents being held.
And electronic media versus type in a file cabinet back here, or whatever, is that brought up too?
No, but the conversation right now is the current retention policy would make us, anytime we posted or somebody commented, we would have to copy what was posted, make a copy of it, a physical copy of it, and file it in a filing cabinet. And I don't think anybody wants to do that for everybody's comment in every post. Unless somebody wants to take that job and copy it all.
When is the city gonna finish theirs? We're gonna have to have 3 readings and it starts next month.
They didn't even pass the first one.
We passed the first one.
It wasn't an ordinance, it was a resolution.
It was an ordinance that was not passed. The resolution was for the social media policy. The ordinance was for the record retention. The city did go to pass it in ordinance form. So it would go to 3 readings.
Why would we have to do our own separate one? Couldn't we not plagiarize it, but just sort of mimic or copy that? I mean, it's all the same type of data that you'd be saving.
We still have to make a policy for it though, or we revert back to the standard city policy.
But what you're saying is that's 3 months out, it's too long, too late.
I think we were hoping to make social media this month in relation to explaining the AMP tax and encouraging people to vote yes for it, which we
Showing part of the advertising, being able to advertise on platforms. You had to be able to post on the platforms to advertise on the platforms.
Well, just what we just passed, about $250 check, what of that action would we have to retain and for how long? We gave $250 for a
Right.
project, right,
And
out of
that-
our funds.
Yeah, but they are a different entity,
Yeah.
so.
But they
have
are creating
different
that
rules.
event, that event
They're
is just
creating
coming
it.
up.
But we wouldn't have to keep a record of that.
We're keeping a record of the check and their final report, their original request,
Okay.
but it's not part of the
Okay.
social media that the AMP is controlling.
Okay, give me an example of tonight, if you go home, Bryce, and you post something, give me an example of what that might be and how it would affect this committee.
Well, one, we gave $250 for that grant for the barbecue fest to happen this weekend, for the barbecue contest.
That's what I just
We
asked.
haven't been able to post on social media about that going on.
Why?
We're restricted by the current, city rules right now on record retention.
So what do we have to do as a committee to put our own program in place so that we can use social media
We'd have to
now?
write a social media policy, and it's not something that we have right now at this point to pass. It's something we're gonna have to come back for.
Okay, and how long is that going to take us?
We could do it in a few days, I'm sure.
Okay,
So, the question was, and we kind of hoped that the city would have passed that record retention part to, but I understand the complexity part of the questions that were answered, why it was tabled.
Right.
The only part that we're worried about is the social media part
Right.
and to get posting. So,
But could we, Mr. Chairman, could we as a committee do something that the city has not done? And we're creating our own policy that they don't have yet.
correct. We can create our own policies for everything that's in place. We do not have to follow the city policy. We choose to mostly follow the city policy because it is all together as part of the city, but we do have the option to write our own policy. And in the past, we have followed pretty closely the city policy, and we actually held off writing this policy, hoping that the city would pass a policy that covers all departments and all commissions in
Can
the
we
city.
borrow something from Town, Eureka?
I have not seen
I'm
anything.
not being facetious about this, can we just, it's been done before, I'm sure, other cities that do it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure, I've seen multiples that were done from other places, just not Town itself.
We can agree for us to write a resolution that would cover the A and P social media policy.
Yeah, that's all we need. is
That's all we
social
need,
media.
so we could start
We're
using
gonna have
it.
to do it.
And I guess that's really the only discussion now. If we want to do that, then we'll go towards writing that, and then we'll just make a special meeting for that to come back and
We can do
pass
that,
and
and
do it.
if the city passes something in the future that's all encompassing, we can,
We can
change.
amend it and take it out, yeah.
or resolve to follow their guidelines.
Yep.
entirely. Yeah, that, I think we have to do that.
Okay.
So can I make a motion that we move ahead with writing our own social media policy?
I don't even think we have to make a motion. It's just a conversation that if we want to write it, then we'll start writing it, and we'll
Okay.
call back a special meeting
We'll
to,
have to have that
Let's do that.
council, yeah, we'll have to vote on it once it gets
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
yep.
let's do
I don't even
it.
think we had to have a motion for it. It was a conversation because of what happened in the last city meeting, that we had sent a request to the city
Yeah,
covering stuff, and this is kind of an update of what's going on
right.
and what do we want to do. We could have gone ahead and passed one, but we waited for the city to see if they would.
Yeah,
vote
but
on
it
it.
sounds like something we need to have. We should have had it so that we could promote this.
Right.
Need a second?
No,
No.
we don't need any motion or anything for this to happen. We're just gonna start writing that, and then we'll have a special meeting to come back and review that resolution, and then we can vote on that resolution then.
Okay.
It's just pretty much a discussion on what we wanted to do, but
Sounds
it'll have us come back
Any-
and to pass
Any
it.
comments also on there? Nope, okay.
Nope.
This has to be done.
Unfortunately, I was hoping that we'd have it done September 1, so that we could put out social media stuff with the barbecue thing and that. That didn't happen,
And,
so.
and the public meetings that we wanted to have.
The public meeting parts of what we wanted to put out for, trying to get people to come. We have a few people, but not a lot. So,
Why don't we make a special meeting for next week or whatever, and go to the drawing board and get it done and move on.
Right.
yep, we can make that scheduling, once we get done with scheduling, we'll make a schedule for that. And as soon as we can get back to the table, we'll have one written up and we can do it then.
And it shouldn't take long, that's all we have to discuss.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think it's pretty small.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on that topic? And I included the social media policy that was passed. It's in everybody's documents, so that's why it's in there. It's not something for us, but it was something that was passed this past week, so.
I have one question, was, if I wanted to make a comment on Facebook about something we're doing, well, it's just me commenting, but it has allusion to the AP committee, does that have to be documented and kept as me as a member, or is only things that come from this group of us?
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
the conversation, and Pat, you may know this one more than I do, on that policy that's currently in place of the city that we fall under. You can comment on Facebook, you can comment on social media as your own personal person. No commission or city person loses their First Amendment rights.
No, but you
As
have,
that.
you have to make,
You have to make
be real
comments.
clear
Yep.
that you're talking on behalf of you, not of us.
Not of a,
I mean, as Bryce said, you're not gonna lose your First Amendment right, you have the right to, thank God for that, because I do it all the time, but that's my opinion. And you just have to make sure it's that,
Yeah, make sure you state something in there that it is your opinion that you're giving, it's not, an A and B if it's
As
a
long
member
as you're
city.
going, I'd be very, very careful if it's including one of us. That gets into a whole new territory. I mean, if you're telling to somebody outside, one of them or whatever, but I can't be sending you and Sharon.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a whole horse of a different color, so I think we
Yep.
could just be real careful with that.
Ben, you got a question?
Yeah, that kind of brought a thought up, was in the public, can I post something?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like, can I post something about this $250?
Yeah.
Whatever I want?
You can post anything
You
you want.
whatever you
Man,
want
I've
to
been
do.
doing this days ago, darn it. That just didn't-
I mean, that's why these are public meetings, I mean,
Right.
anybody can attend them, anybody can make a comment to them.
And if you want additional background on that, I
Right.
have it for you.
Exactly, yeah, okay. It needs to get out.
But if you're gonna say something bad about us, though, you're not allowed to do that.
And Ben, normally we'd have you come up to the podium,
Oh,
but if
I'm
you
sorry.
would, just state your name and then
I got
we'll,
you.
we'll know what it is for the record.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, Ben, 113 Beaver Drive.
There you go.
We know.
We know, people watching online though, don't know.
Right, that's exactly right.
How many people are watching online?
You know, I haven't even looked. Mine hasn't even updated, so. If there's no more comments on that, we'll move on to the next one. Discussion on future public meetings.
Is this the time to talk about?
Well, Vernon?
It is, we're gonna talk about all of it. We can start it with Vern.
If I can announce the dates that we are
Yeah,
planning.
Go ahead.
Up to,
Okay, great.
with your name, please, etc. Yes.
Vernon Anderson, 60 Shields Spur. I'm the treasurer for the Holiday Island Short-Term Rental Tax Committee. Well, you got a short name if you want to write a check to us. It covers no bank books, yeah. So anyhow, we have meetings scheduled for the 19th of September at 5 p.m. That's at the Pavilion. And 17th of October at 6 p.m. at the barn. The 21st of October at 6 p.m. in the ballroom. That's a HIAPC sponsored meeting, by the way. 24th of October at 6 p.m. also in the ballroom. So we have 4 planned meetings at this time to get people to join in the thing. Our committee is, all of our committee officers are 100% behind the tax, and we'll state that whenever anybody asks us questions. We have had $500 of, we've passed the Ethics Commission deal. We owe a report already next week of who's given us money, and we have got $500 so far, $100 contributed. We've paid for signs and have signs. We have, all the frames are donated, so I'll have to collect all those frames when we get done to make sure we return them to the people that have them. But anyhow, so they're available, and we can even do some of that in the parking lot here. I assume it's okay to start posting those signs. All right?
See why not?
Well, that's it. We're excited about it. We think it's the right direction to go from the HIAPC perspective. We've been doing this for 7 years, and we've been limited by funds. We've had a lot of support from people, $25 and $50 membership fees, and it's amounted to about $2,000 a year. And HIAPC has supported us with about $30,000, and so advertisements are kind of fixed. They're limited to what we can do. Can't do billboards, can't do other opportunities. Facebook, we tried that a little bit with somebody in our membership, their money involved in it, trying that out, and with contributions from some of the businesses. So we see it as a real limitation without getting this tax passed. So,
Can I bring up one thing, just for when, because I'm not gonna be talking, but when we're presenting the meeting at the clubhouse, the HIAPC board is very touchy about this. They want it made clear that they're not supporting this A and B tax, nor are they against it. They're just providing a place for you to.
okay, well, that's good
And,
to know.
and they want that up front, and
Yeah.
I don't know why but they are.
Well, it shows here, so we probably need to change our list if we're going to publish it, because it does show it as a sponsor.
Yeah.
And I don't know what FOB means. What's
Friends
that?
of the
Friends of the Barn.
Friends of the Barn, okay, there we go.
Well, you got 2/3
So
of the
it's a
Friends of the Barn right there.
So we're okay on Friends of the Barn.
I don't care what you say about Friends of the Barn. I can
Okay.
guarantee you, we're all 100% behind it.
All right.
But HIAPC is,
Okay.
I've been a little touchy about things, so.
Okay,
make
well, I can
clear that
understand where that comes
They're
from.
providing a place for a public forum, but not supporting, nor opposing either one.
Yeah.
That's their message in their meeting.
Would you give them again slowly the four?
Okay, yeah, starting with September 19th,
Okay.
5 p.m. That's the only 5 p.m. time we have at the Pavilion, okay? Pavilion at the Sports Center.
Sure.
And then October 17th at 6 p.m. and it's at the barn
Yep.
and across that. And October 21st at 6 p.m. and that's in the ballroom
Yep.
at the clubhouse. And October 24th at 6 p.m. in the ballroom.
Okay. Thank you.
We do, like I said, have a check account, we're past the Ethics Commission, we have an ID for our checking account, tax ID, and we have contributions, and we hope to be able to collect, signs cost us a little lower than $5 a piece, so we hope that people who are willing to put them in their front yard will maybe donate a little something also to help pay for the signs. But that's where we're at this moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Signature treasurer, do you wanna cover the letter that you put out
Oh, okay.
as far as the
Letter-
public meeting?
letter. Well, when a few people were telling me that they didn't care for the A&P tax, I kind of said what I was going to read right now, and it seemed like they said, oh, okay, now we understand. And we were thinking that if I made an introduction, something like this at the public meetings, and then asked for questions, people would ask the questions that are the most concerned, rather than us going through a big, long thing. So I'll try it out on you and see if this would work. Thank you for coming tonight. The short-term rental tax is very straightforward. Short-term rental tax is a user's tax. If you don't rent the short-term facilities like the Airbnb, because you already live here, or rent the party facilities because you entertain in your home or socialize in your church, then you don't pay the tax. Only users do, like you do when you go on vacation in other cities. The owners and managers of the short-term rentals want this tax. It's collected by the Advertising and Promotion Commission and from them through their customers for the sole purpose of promoting advertising Holiday Island and of adopting parks to bring in more people to enjoy our resort community. And like most of us, we visited here and decided to stay. Holiday Island was built on tourism. The more tourist money we bring in to support the cost of our amenities, the more our AOBs can be used for the roads and the water issues. The tourist money would help maybe keep the golf courses open longer and the marina and the restaurants and the shops open for longer hours and for your enjoyment, you the residents. Short-term rental tax is a user's tax only. Now, I know you have questions, and so I'd like to turn this over to Bryce to answer some of your questions.
I would make one
Yes.
change.
Yes, sir?
And that's in the third paragraph. Good job. I
Okay.
would say AOBS. I wouldn't use.
An acronym.
That's what I said before. It's like VRBO is a company name.
Yes.
Airbnb is a company name. Just like Mike has his company name.
Yes, sir.
They're short-term rentals.
Okay. Good idea.
This may be, I don't know if we want to say this, just the second paragraph.
Uh-huh.
Do we want to say the owners and managers, or do we want to say most owners and managers? Because I don't know that,
Okay.
I don't want to say something that's not true. I'm hoping they all support this,
Good
but I
point.
don't know that we can actually say, that implies that all of them do, and I'm not sure that's true. I don't
Good
want to say
point.
anything that has, I don't want somebody to come up in the audience and say, well, I own a B&B and I'm against it,
Okay.
I
That's a
think
good
most
point.
we could get by with. I don't know if I want to say the. That's just a minor point.
I changed it to most. Good point.
Going back to my comment, it says Airbnb in the second paragraph too, but maybe we need to explain that VRBO and Airbnb are companies that are, like Mike's company, or me if I have short-term rental, they are, Mike,
It's like I said earlier, Airbnb, you ask anyone out there what an Airbnb is, they're gonna say it's a blanket. It's anything short-term rental. So, yeah, it is a company, but
Yeah.
you talk to Airbnb, someone, well, are you gonna stay at an Airbnb? Yeah, we got one over here on, but you look it up, it's not listed on Airbnb, but it's listed on VRBO.
Right.
So if you say Airbnb, I think that's kind of blanket explains all the short-term rentals.
Okay, well, a couple of weeks ago in Independent, they had quite a good article about collecting the 3% tax for HIAPC over there in Eureka, and it was very detailed, and I think it was Becky Gilletto who wrote the article, but at any rate, they explained very well, they've got hundreds of them over there, about how the contract went with VRBO and Airbnb, that they would collect the tax. I don't think we're at that status with 94 here in Holiday Island that we would need that, but could someday, maybe. Could.
It's more likely that we would get a contract with every funding, every booking platform, and there's
Yeah.
about 7 that we
Yeah.
found.
No,
Make it a
that
lot
answer
easier,
is correct.
too. Yeah.
Right.
The only way that we found that A&P commissions have been able to collect from those platforms is by contracting with them.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe I could change it, like if you don't rent short-term rental facilities, like through
Yeah.
Airbo, Be Rare,
Peggy,
Expedia.
do we want that next phrase also, if you don't rent short-term rental facilities like Airbnbs or rent the party facilities, I don't know if you want to put, because you already live here, I don't want to
Okay.
imply that if you live here,
You don't use it?
because I have rented stuff for my grandkids,
Okay.
you know, and
Okay.
of course I would pay that, but
Okay.
I just want to be real careful, we don't say anything that somebody out there is gonna call us on, and that may be a minor point.
No, I took it out, that's good.
Okay. That's all I got, other than that, it's great.
Do you like the concept? Where
I like the
we're just
concept.
Very
and that-
simple to the
That should
point.
answer, I don't know why they'd have any more questions, because that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We are gonna show the actual way it shows, so aren't we?
Uh-huh. In there, the committee has made some handouts that will include
Okay.
the exact wording of that they see on the
'Cause if
ballot.
they-
It's part of that.
yeah, If they
Q&A.
read that and what you just said, it's consistent, so they ought to understand, I would hope they'd understand it.
That was in the Q&A questions.
I've had too many public meetings for,
Yeah.
who knows?
The questions are gonna come up.
Yeah, and
They're
they're gonna be
going to.
some really, bite your tongue questions probably, but
So Peggy,
Yes,
in,
ma'am.
in this next to last paragraph,
Yes.
you say more our AOBs can be used on roads and water issues. I'd appreciate it if you would make that clear, because people that have just recently moved here may not understand what AOB
Yeah,
stands for.
yeah, you're
and
right.
that needs to be clarified.
Good point. I'll spell it out.
Do we want to make any mention that our committee, doesn't matter what Eureka does or Town, but that we are not collecting on restaurant food, meals?
The tax levy doesn't talk anything about it. Normally, there's 2 parts in that. And one talks about short-term rentals and one talks about food.
anybody brings it up, Bryce can say, no, clearly
Yeah,
we do
yeah,
not.
they
Yeah.
bring
We
it
don't
up,
have
that's
any of
not,
it.
that's not bringing it up.
That's
unless
not,
they
we
do.
specifically took that out to make it
Yeah.
easier.
And I believe we're gonna have a lot of those questions that you think that they come up.
Yeah.
They're gonna be questions like this.
I almost hope somebody does bring that question up, so you can say no,
Yep.
you know.
Explicitly.
I can make that happen.
No, that's not the
Trying
answer.
to put a show in there.
I can make that happen as far as the question being asked.
Oh, okay. I think it's a question that needs to be
It
asked.
does. I
There's
agree.
some people out there that think that they're gonna go to, well, there's people out there probably think they're gonna go to the grocery store and it's gonna be a tax on them,
Yeah.
so.
Well, and I've seen posts and comments about that lately,
Yeah.
about the gas station, the grocery store, and everywhere that they go, they're gonna have this tax, and it's not that at all.
Well, yeah, and then when you were there at the meeting, well, we took that out and it's,
Yeah.
make it, just specifically to make it easier to pass, so that needs to come up and be clear.
did you want that in here?
No,
No,
not
I thought
necessarily.
not, wait till the
Let's
question.
Wait for the question. I mean, you're saying what it is, not what it isn't. I mean, if you said what it isn't, you could go on for 3 pages. If you're saying what it is, they'll ask, well, doesn't it, and then we can answer the, or Bryce can answer the question. I'll try to keep my mouth shut. I'll try to keep my mouth
I got
shut.
some super glue.
Thanks, Mike. That's why you're sitting over there.
Any other questions or comments on future voting meetings? Because that comes up, we may have a special meeting before that, but we don't really have any other meetings
I
set.
had one, and I was surprised that we are the only city in the whole area, maybe in all of Arkansas, I'm not sure, but we're the only one in this area, Town, Eureka, Berryville, and so forth, that does not have this. Is this something that needs to be mentioned, that we are joining the big boys and girls?
I think she did, didn't
I
she?
think it's in, it's in part of the.
Like you do when you vacation in any other city. I mean,
Oh,
Yeah,
there are plenty of towns in Arkansas that do not have an A&P.
There are a lot that don't
But they're
have it.
also not a destination that you're gonna want to go.
And they have,
spend
yeah.
time.
There are shocking places that do have it, but when I was reviewing it, I didn't think anybody would ever go there, but they have it.
There are places I've been to go. I think that's great.
Any other comments on it?
Instead of asking for a question from the audience, committee members or at the pavilion, how much are you gonna get from this if it passes? If I vote for it, how much money is gonna come in for the A&P committee?
Well, he's got an estimate.
We do have an estimate. The estimate's been about 150,000 is what we set the estimate at. There is a high and a low, but the numbers changed since we did that also. We've had more STRs registered since we did that number, so
We don't wanna mention it here.
It's in the Q&A questions.
it is in the Q&A.
There's a list of how many short-term rentals and, you know, what percentage, so.
There'll probably be a lot of questions about what it can be used for, but it's easy enough to answer. And I hope there are, because a lot of those things that come up, like fireworks
Yeah.
and programs that people really, really like around here.
Well, and then we have that, where it's, you know, what do you call that? Poster board, poster board, yeah,
That's right.
where at the bottom, they could add in what they'd like to see, and we'll just keep that going.
So the handouts that the people are gonna be getting, that these are for that your committee is doing or our committee?
He's got a couple of the samples. It's the Understanding A&P, a 5-page in great detail for those who really want it. And then remember the Q&A questions that we had talked about earlier.
And one copy for each participant in the audience?
They'll make copies, yes, if they wish that.
And who's paying for the printing of that?
The committee.
Why aren't we
committee.
doing
Because
it?
We can't use
We
dollars,
can't.
public dollars, for promoting the vote.
So the donations that you're giving to the committee is paying for the signs and
Oh,
the
after it
copies.
Oh, after it passes, yeah.
There wouldn't be any
Well, there
use
wouldn't
for
be
public
any
to
need.
get it passed. But as far as the vote itself, it's just like the signs and stuff, we couldn't use public
No
dollars. to
public
make those.
funds.
They had to create a committee for that.
I had another question with Vern, but you don't have to get up if you don't want. But how far are we, do you have enough funding right now for everything that you've done so far, i.e. signs and?
Well, no, actually, we're short $50, but I'm sure that'll come out soon
Okay.
on that. So we did make a credit card purchase to get those in here because we needed timing wise.
Okay.
It was a little more than $500 and we had $500 in the bank, but we paid for a credit card, so.
And I think you made some letters, didn't you, for asking for money that you
You're
could.
right. We have letters on that, which I'll ask a question here later on, and this just to clarify, because maybe you guys looked at this letter, and I'm not sure, Donna's just raised a good, interesting question, because across part of what was said here, and that's, so maybe move on to that, but yes, we're after that, we're gonna hopefully be sending out letters asking for support, and asking for them to offer to bring them a sign, take a sign, whatever, and then help us gather them up at the end, yeah.
So the push right now is just happening now in September. They haven't gotten a letter, they haven't gotten, the
Right.
signs aren't out, so that's all happening right
Yeah,
now
so
along
it's
with
just
this.
been mostly word of mouth things going on, and there's, with my own people that I have talked to around, it's just, almost virtually none of them even know A and B at this moment. They are not in their conversations, and, not apparent,
We wanted
apparently
to-
hearing about it. So
We wanted
gotta
to wait
make-
until now to
Yeah.
have a kickoff
Yeah.
meeting and,
Yeah, so we need to
Start.
get the word out, no doubt about it. And the signs are very, I think they're very good signs. I think that once we get a couple of dozen of those down Holiday Island Drive and around, that it won't take long for people to start coming and asking the questions on them.
Well, Bryce, you think Vern should read the letter and just get our, not approval of it, but just see the tone of it, make sure. That committee is speaking for this committee, are they not?
They're
They're
speaking
independent.
for the vote itself on what's going on, and so
Yeah,
we
they're
don't
not
have
speaking
any,
for us, they're
yeah.
independent.
They're independent and they're advocating the vote for the yes.
He could read it, right?
But we can't read it.
We can advocate for the AMP, we just can't spend public funds for it.
Correct.
Just like the city council can advocate for it,
Yep.
which they did, but.
We
but
don't-
not spend
ISID
money.
also did it in their
ISID
last
also.
meeting.
So we can speak to it, we just can't spend money.
We could
Do you have
ask
copies of the
Vern
letter?
to read it.
Right.
Yes, I do. I guess I can pop those out real quick.
If you have
We'll
copies of
We'll
it,
get to the
we'll
main
look at it.
issue though here. For you guys.
Vern's just trying to work himself out of a job.
Well, you're exactly right.
HIPRO's been in existence for 7 years. When we started it back in 2016, 17, more than 150 homes, condos for sale. And they were going for more than 6 months on the market as an average.
Right.
And an awful lot of people chose to cut their inheritance back and went and sold those properties for less than $70 a square foot. You know, so
I
it
bet
was
you a couple more.
kind of a sad moment in that time frame across there.
Thanks.
So anyhow, this is the letter. However, probably the most important part of that question is HIPRO has never pushed individual homes by any means. We've never pushed individual realtors by any means. We have strictly promoted Holiday Island as a place to live, you know, place of vacation, place to live, and its lifestyle is just a wonderful situation. Plus, we're a great location, halfway to Branson, halfway to Northwest Arkansas. You have everything you want, Northwest Arkansas, and all the entertainment you need that way. So we've been pushing it that particular way. So anyhow, the key question though is of course it says we want our people to be favorable to the bill, and urge others to vote for it. Help voters understand that only the one paying this tax is those who use short-term rentals, less than 30 days, try to make that clear to them. And we need, and this second part is probably the part that Donna's asked a good question for, because from HIPRO's perspective, again, we have not advertised anybody's homes or any realtors. However, the critical thing to keep Holiday Island moving is that we have to have people from out of state here to buy these expensive homes. There's not enough people in Carroll County with the money to buy these homes. And so when you reach that perspective of, oh, I need to downsize, or I need to go move closer to my family, or even worse, whatever other issues you get to, you have to sell your house. And so we have to have enough people coming here from out of state, really, to be honest with you, to buy these homes. And so it's not just build homes, but it's buy the existing homes. And what the good news is when those new people come, they have a heck of a lot of friends, relatives, business partner people that come following them. Where the heck are you? You know, at Holiday Island, and find this place, and then that helps us grow. So it's critical to be able to keep having people. Now, does my statement in here cause some kind of fright for you guys? Find buyers of our existing homes. Well, maybe I need to down that conversation a little less. I'm not trying to bring people to look at our homes. You know, and again, most of them come from out of states. Ads, you know, bring people here to vacation, and they want to buy here. So I don't know. Those three sentences are not part of your guys' operating part. You're not supposed to be selling homes, per se. But it's really critical as far as HIPRO is concerned, and HIPRO won't be continuing to do that business after you guys get all the funds there, because you should have funds to be big enough to do it. Certainly the state of Arkansas, when we started, we did not have, Dees had already stopped his ads all the way around. There was no ad in the state of Arkansas travel guide. We were not even on the map that they had of the state of Arkansas. Not even on the map. And it took 2 years for HIPRO to get us on the map.
And we got lucky, HIAPC came up with enough money to let us have a full-page ad so that we could probably kick that on over. And so we think the Arkansas ad is super important. And we also have got money from the donations that we've got from our members. HIPRO has paid for 2 different buys on leads from the state of Arkansas. The publishers, they do their own little extra marketing. So they put another ad in the digital copy, and it says Holiday Island. You want to know more about Holiday Island? And it's a pretty nice little full-page digital copy. It's not our full page that's in the book. And so we pay $1,400 for 700 leads, and we've done that twice with Holiday Island HIPRO money. And we've also been funded by the city, I think, once on that too, and maybe HIAPC did one too, I don't know, but we have got some ads across that, and we think that's important because what we're doing is people are coming, they're coming straight to Arkansas and asking about Arkansas. Well, that's critical to start with. We've got people interested in Arkansas, and then they pick Holiday Island specifically, wanting data from them. And so that's important to us there. So we're getting some, what I consider, good leads. And so far, we have 2,000 leads on our MailChimp, which is now $45 a month. And that's, you know, they're not dropping off, hardly at all. You know, the drop-off's less than a couple % a month in terms of people who want their name removed from our list. And we're doing a monthly thing out, send out. So anyhow, I don't know. Does that probably need some better wording there?
No.
Across that.
Good.
Let me think about that a second. That's not really our function, even though,
There's a side part of this, and I know because I've heard it multiple times, that people came here on vacation and then they wanted to move back here. This is what HIPRO was originally doing. It may not be what we're necessarily targeting. We're targeting the tourist people, which is a side part of people finding homes later on. So
Most people start
I think you're right
as
about
tourists or visitors.
yeah, and
vacation.
like I did.
Timeshares.
there's some wording to that could be done.
I agree with the sentiment, I'm just not, I'm rereading the statute, I'm just not sure, that's a little outside of an A&P commissions thing.
Okay.
Oh, you've got
Take a
it.
read of this one.
No, there's another version.
Oh,
No,
Yeah.
the 1 and 2, the version.
Read
I'm sorry,
that-
I don't remember my
That
other
version of the,
A
Yeah,
little more detailed.
Yeah,
than that.
right,
This is better,
that.
that one.
yeah, it is,
I-
because like I said, my sentiments are with it, but it's a little outside our
Do
scope.
you want to read, do you wanted to read the other version
Oh,
that
you
you
want me to read
have?
it, the whole thing, or
Yeah,
just?
yeah, just that,
No, no,
that
just
part
that-
of it. I can.
that-
I think
Our
it shows that-
advertising revenues needed, brings new people into the area to enjoy Holiday Island. Remember Holiday Island is a place to come back and visit, move to, or retire to Holiday Island. Most of our home condo buyers come from other states. We need money to help pay for ads that bring people here to vacation, gain additional exposure to people all over that Holiday Island is here. And that's just,
Okay, yeah.
that to me is within the scope of our,
All right,
Yeah,
Right.
that's better.
That one better.
okay.
Yeah, because there have been some people that have said that
My
they
editor
don't
said I
want more
say
people
too
coming
much.
here.
so
They don't want more houses.
She took out all that, and put it down.
Okay, do you need a copy of the
I've got a
original
copy.
version?
I've got a copy
Is
of
there
it,
anybody
yeah.
else?
That's
Okay.
good.
Okay, well, good. That
Y'all
makes
ready?
it-
want more people here, put more people
You saw that
here and
Yeah.
feed their assessments, so,
Okay.
because that's the
Thanks-
only way the
thanks,
budget's
Don.
gonna go up.
Okay.
I
I'm
wasn't
sorry, the other editor.
No, well, a
Okay.
secondary editor
Okay,
pointed it out.
so
but that way.
I think we summarized, I think we like that version, that,
I
do you want
can't,
a copy of it? Do you
I
have
don't
that?
know.
Well, I'm pretty sure I know which one you're
Well,
talking
let me
about.
get
Can't
it,
see through the,
let me get your copy.
Yeah, that's the one we're trying to cut down some of the wording.
Yeah,
all I can see is right here, and that's not, that
I'll
doesn't
give you a
identify
copy.
anybody in Holiday
Yeah,
Island.
picture, okay, that's one you all looked at, all right, good.
All right. Any other comments on that?
Oh, I think that's good.
Donna, I couldn't see you through the podium, but we appreciate you and Vern and all the committee. A lot of work. You're doing that for years, I know. Thank you.
Moving on to new business. This is a part that I don't think anybody really got to read over much of it.
No, I
And we're not here to make any motion on this part. This is something that came up, I think the last page is what it got put into the booklet. You'll see one that's at the top, it says ordinance 2024-004. It's probably gonna be the last page in your booklet. This is the actual ordinance that the city passed for the A&P commission. And just above section 5, there's a column 6 there. And it talks about how the commission shall create the rules and regulations of enforcement and collection of the tax within 120 days of formation of the commission. And at that point right now, that brings us to October the 3rd is when that has to be done. And I tried to get an interpretation that it was be 120 days after the vote was made, but it is not that. It is from when the commission was created on June the 5th. And that gives us the date of October the 3rd. That's why this is here right now at this point in time. So we do have one that has been started, but it has not been completed. It has not been reviewed. And needs a lot of work. So I think we need to open up the discussion because it's quite extensive, and the even 15 pages that are there right now of how we're going to do that. And it's not just the enforcement side, it is the collection side. It is the paper that is turned in and the tax filing every single month that the STRs would submit. And what that time frame is. It is all the rules. And this is something too that we'll have to pass in the resolution here. And we will actually send this to the city council for them to pass it in ordinance form. So I just want to open up the discussion about the enforcement and the collection of the tax. I know this is not something that this commission has sat down and talked about, but we have the obligation to do it.
I have a question maybe from, I guess Ken is the only city council member here, but on the committee. In terms of like the city and your business licenses that have been issued, not everyone has purchased a business license. I know one that didn't. What is, in general, does the zoning person go after the people that don't? How does that work with the city?
Code enforcer,
Okay.
code enforcer is following up on that.
And they go to the business and say, look, dry cleaners, you haven't got a City of Holiday Island business permit yet.
They have to notify them in writing.
In writing?
But at first, I think it's a verbal,
Okay.
and
And
then
then,
if they get compliance, and if not,
I wasn't at the last meeting, but what is the status of that collection or that process now?
I don't know, I got kind of convulsed by the fire department making inspections, and I don't know whether that's been resolved or not.
And I'll also give you an update. We, as an A&P, had sent off a request to city council to review the business license deal with some of the SID stuff. That has not been heard yet.
But I guess what I'm going back to is earlier in the meeting, I said, and you've been good about this, borrowing from other cities and so forth, and if we see Jonesboro, and then we just cross out Jonesboro and make it Holiday Island, but because a lot of cities have much bigger staff to do this.
Yep.
We do, like 10 times as much as we do. But if we could get a version that's not too voluminous, but would meet our needs, something like a Siloam Springs, Town, or something that's less than 10,000 people, let's say, we're only 2,400, but that we wouldn't want to look at Little Rocks, but that we could even call them and get them. I don't know how you did that before, you just go online for it?
This one that we have that we're looking at right now is another city's
Okay.
enforcement. Yeah. Because we have not sat down and written one up.
So So what is your suggestion, because we haven't had a chance to look at this much, that we come back at the next meeting or a special meeting and give comments right
At this point, we're gonna have to come back for special meetings if we wanna have a conversation about it. We're gonna come back for a special meeting to actually pass it, because it has to be done before our next regular meeting. So October 3rd is the deadline for it, and our next, regular meeting is not until, you may have a date for that. I wanna say it's October
It's
the
October
8th.
7th, it's the
Or
first
7th.
Monday of the month, that's October 7th, so it's beyond the deadline.
So we're gonna have to come back for a special meeting, either to discuss it and go back and make changes, and then come back and actually pass it.
Couldn't we do it in one meeting?
That takes the vote of everybody sitting on this board to make that happen. If we don't have the votes to pass what we have in front of us, then no.
That was the obligation we took when we were appointed to this board.
But we do have to have it done before 120 days. I know, Pat, you're over there reading it. Do you have any other interpretation of that?
No.
I noticed you were over there studying for a while, so I was hoping you were gonna have another.
I'm trying to find a way out of this until after the election, but I don't think there is one.
Could we have a special
We're
meeting
gonna have to
next
have a
Monday?
workshop
A work-
and go through, and
I don't,
it doesn't have to be perfect.
I don't think we intended, I think it was intended to be 120 days for when it's.
Yeah, but that's not what it says.
Well, I'm telling you what I think the intention was, you know,
Yeah,
and I think.
we're the first city that I know of that required a vote. All the rest of them are done by mayors.
And I think that's the issue too, is that this
And that-
state statute that's making this happen at 120 days are from cities that normally in the past would pass the ordinance to impose a tax.
Right.
There is no vote. It happens right then, and that's the issue that we have in place, is that we're having to follow some of those rules while we're waiting on a vote to actually pass.
Yeah.
Well, let's try to come up with a little workshop and then do something, and like, I said, it doesn't have to be perfect to comply with this, because we can amend it after the election, knowing what it goes through, just to have something in place to comply with the statute.
Well, in my conversation with, I actually had one with the mayor today about this issue and what we were going to do about this, and that we needed to have it done by the 120 days. And the conversation was for us to pass something by resolution. The final part will come after the vote, and we can send that to the city council for them to actually pass the ordinance that would hold that.
The resolution doesn't have to be, it needs to be workable, but doesn't have to be perfect, because we can amend it after the election, long time before we start collecting a tax. But just to have something in place, because that's not the city's rule, that's the state, so we don't have a choice.
The only part that I don't want is for us to put up enforcement in the parts that are there, and somebody say that we're not being transparent with the rules that we intend to place before the vote happens.
Well,
So we need to make sure that a majority of that rule is set. Obviously, those can always be amended, but to say that we're gonna come up with a shortened version until it passes to then enforce new rules that weren't originally intended to be there, it doesn't show much confidence in the part of passing the tax itself.
You know, I know, Ken and Pat are on the city council. I've been going to a lot of meetings even before they moved to this building, and many of them were boring. Capital B-O-R-I-G.
thank you.
And the reason was, they did a good job with it, but they went through every comma, every semicolon, and they were good at it. But you're sitting in the audience and, well, you gotta slap yourself in the face to wake up, you know? And I'm not being critical, but that's what they did, and they did a good job with it. But now that's all over for them. This is our only one we got to do, I think.
Could we arrange for a meeting next week so that we can go through this and,
Pat, you say that's in the statute?
That's state statute, 120 days, that's not something we did at city council. I mean, if it was, we would just change it, but we didn't, it's state statute.
And this is
And I'm sure
the,
Bryce is correct, because always in the past, the city council would say, we're gonna have an A and B tax, doesn't have to go for a vote. So the 120 days would start then, but they didn't have the foresight to make it from the election, which would make perfect sense. 'Cause we
That's
may
what
be,
it should be.
you know, if it didn't pass, we're spitting into the wind, but
No, we are the first city actually asking for an AMP tax vote since the state changed the laws on that being needed. Now, there were other AMP votes, but they were for a different reason. They already had AMP in place. They were asking for an increase specifically earmarked for something that was going forward. It was not for the creation of AMP.
well, let's just bite the bullet, come up with a time to get together and work up something.
And Ken, you're really good at finding errors, commas and all that, maybe you could have it already marked up.
Well, I'm not, so somebody
I know,
else needs to do that. I am
Ken is
terrible
good
at
at that.
proofreading.
Pat, you wanna wait and do
I will work hard on it.
the scheduling when we do get the scheduling? If so, if we're at the end of this, we can go on to commissioner comments,
Yeah.
go through comments, and then
Yeah.
we still have the other, dates to set for the social media retention policy anyways for that too, so.
Okay.
Any other comments on the enforcement collection requirements that we're gonna have to fulfill?
Maybe asking the committee members around the table what night would be better for them, if any.
That's what we'll do in the scheduling thing, because I think we're gonna have
Okay.
a lot of that at this point.
And I don't have a whole lot of days in September open.
No.
Let's go on to, commissioner comments. If there's any commissioner comments that need to be made. And if so, then we'll move on to public comments. See if the public has any comments. You don't have any comments today?
You have nobody online?
Yeah,
There are not any comments online right now for this either, because we do have that.
We've done most of it, but once it gets done, and then we really work hard on November 5th election, and all the signs and everything that your committees are doing, Vern and Don, I think we've come a long ways in just a month or two, but we're just about at the end of preparing, and the rest would be public awareness and getting people out to those different forums. And Peggy, you're real good at taking all the hash marks and get it back in good order, so I think we can do it with not a lot of damage to ourselves.
Okay, so our regular October meeting is when?
The 7th,
7th?
first Monday
That's,
of October, which is after the deadline.
I know, I'm just.
Yeah,
marking my
October
calendar.
7th is the next 6 o'clock here. Is Monday the 9th a good day for everybody for scheduling the discussion of
Get back.
election
Darn
requirements?
this calendar.
And do we wanna do this in the evening, or we wanna do this in the morning,
Evening.
evening? Okay, we wanna leave everything evening, right?
I don't, but then you guys, I've got an event,
The 9th?
I didn't label it, 2 o'clock.
That's 6
Well, it
p.m.
would be 6.
So
Are you okay with
Yeah,
that?
yes.
You too?
I prefer 6 p.m. Several of us work sometimes,
Yep.
part-time.
Golfing's not work.
No, I don't.
He doesn't call it.
So,
Take my word on that.
so Monday, September 9th at 6 o'clock here?
Anybody have an issue with
No.
September 9th? And we wanna make that just a workshop, correct?
October.
Yeah, I think so, and then,
Could you have a special
wait,
meeting
you
afterwards?
wanna have a special, yeah, why don't we just, can we do it at 5? Have a workshop at 5 and have a special meeting immediately thereafter?
Are you
Do you
okay?
think we'll get through, I mean, if it is 15 pages, will we get through it in an
We're
hour?
not gonna have 15 pages, we can make it
We'll cut it out.
less than that.
Okay,
Okay, we're
I
good
don't
on this
know.
side.
We can try, because we don't have a whole lot of time.
All right. So 5 o'clock workshop, 6 o'clock special meeting? Is that basically
Next Monday?
Monday? Is that, Sharon? Are
So
you
you said
good
5 o'clock?
for the workshop?
For the
6
workshop.
o'clock for the mission? We're all good? We're all good.
I'll make it work good.
We'll make it work good.
and then I'll just put in the part for the social media retention policy on the 9th also then. We'll get that written up to, what in that meeting
Special
too.
meeting.
And that way it won't require us to come back until October. Because we've got other all the meetings in the month of September, right? That were listed in there,
Well, yeah, the 19th,
the 19th.
sure.
Yeah, that's in October.
Well, the 19th of September is the public.
September 19th,
Yeah.
lose one.
Okay.
Krim?
Doesn't budget long pizza.
There's no food line.
Any other scheduling we need to do?
Don't think so.
Announcements? Anybody's got an announcement?
Peggy, I think you've done so much work on this weekend. Would you just give us a quick rundown of
Oh,
all the
well,
work?
You have an
that's
announcement on the barbecue?
Oh, no barbecue, okay. We have 7 ribs competition that have registered, but she says she's expecting 25 to 30. People see it's good weather and they're gonna come, and they're gonna get like 6:30 on Sunday morning. We've got all kind of people calling about the car registration because they come there between 12 and 2 on Sunday to register their car. We've got a big band, or a 4-piece band in the pavilion from 1 to 5. We've got the 9-time champion who is cooking ribs all Saturday night and having plates out of his food truck. We've got coffee coming at 7 in the morning and good food for the rib people from Yellow Frisbee. And we've got 25 known vendors coming, all different kinds of arts, crafts, information. We have a keyboard player also playing. We've got a 45-foot obstacle course, inflatable for our kids. O'Reilly actually provided flying discs for the kids also. We also have a Krabby Playground, which is for the little ones. It's like they call it a flying disc. And we have face painting. And so that follows Saturday night, where the chef is providing his top stuffed marinated pork loin and chicken barbecued with 2 vegetables and his award-winning bread pudding. And we have a 5 o'clock seating with already 75 people and a 7:30 seating with another 50 people working over in the ballroom. So we're really trying to bring in, we've got people from Eureka and tourists coming in for the 7:30, most of our locals for the 5. So this is one of our first big events that the Chamber's putting in to show that we can accommodate more fun for our residents and also bring in tourists as an example.
Will the bread pudding be made with rum and white raisins?
Well, I think it's a bourbon bread pudding.
That'll work.
We also have Ellen.
That matter to an Irishman?
Oh, not really.
Ellen is going to, for the southern table on Saturday night, we have Ellen's playing piano. So it's like an old-fashioned piano bar, white tablecloths, and everything. Yeah. And if this works well and people like the southern table, these folks said that they could come in for Thanksgiving for $25 buffet. And also for Christmas, because there's not a lot of places that we can go, besides the farmhouse, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, that would be less expensive and easier to reach than maybe going to Roaring River or Eureka Springs with the free parking. So,
I think the one question that keeps popping up though, is to be sure to point it out that it's a sports complex, because the car show has always been up here. And so
yeah,
it is a sports.
You're right. It's at the sports complex on 13 Buckskin, and the rib is around the corner at 120 Shields at the barn.
The band's playing in the barn? Or
The band's playing in the pavilion,
Pavilion,
and the
okay.
keyboard's playing outside on the other side with the vendors.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we also have a 6-passenger golf truck, a golf cart, to take people from one end of the area to another. And we've been very happy that the folks that own what we all know as the Tom D's property is allowing us to park cars and barbecue rigs on their 9 acres. So that's a great way, I think, for residents to be working together with businesses and the AMP and the commission to support our new activities.
And Monday, you're gonna take a week off.
And we're very fortunate too that the mayor's going to be giving out the awards for the barbecue and the district manager is giving out the awards for the car show. Because both of those entities are full support of what we're trying to do.
What time's that for the work?
The awards for the barbecue are 3:45 and closer to 5 for the cars. And we have the American Legion at 3 o'clock for the colors. And they're bringing in the VFW and Rycon. So we'll have a whole group. They're raising money for the refurbishing of the helicopter. So we will have a 50-50 drawing to help them get additional money for the $8,000 they think it costs to refurbish that. We've got the Boy Scouts coming to help with the trash. We got the Interact coming to help with running back and forth with the judges. So we're trying to get the whole community, involved in something fun, If anybody has any questions or wants to register or whatever, you know who to call. Me.
And I'll add on that too, is with the part that we did with the grant, they come back here to one of our meetings within 60 days.
Yes.
And they
With a
give us a
full
report on the whole event, so we get to hear of it afterwards.
And they've told me they've used the 250 and they're doing all kind of social media to bring people in from 5 different states, et cetera.
Is there someone counting, like how many people might be there? Is that part of the
Yes,
report?
that's part of
That's part of the
the,
report.
Okay.
and that's part of the person
you'll
that's
have
driving the golf
attendance.
cart with a little clicky
Oh,
thing.
okay, yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, but Ben Hall has volunteered with his golf cart to run us old people around if we can't get from one section to another within his clicking, so he can tell us how many people are showing up. And I appreciate that,
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Oh.
And Ken Brown did a great job. He took all this heavy stuff over for me because I couldn't do that.
Oh.
And again, it's just another example how you all are pulling together,
Yeah, that's great.
to do something.
Do you have special golf cart parking for all the people who live on the island, all for their cars?
Yeah, no kidding, exactly.
I gotta work on that one.
Don't have to live in that, my golf cart will make it down there. I knew it.
Thank you.
It may not make it back.
Yeah, but, it's like anything else, share it with your friends, neighbors, relatives, keep inviting them, because I think it'll be fun.
My neighbor is in it,
We got the attendee parking on the ballpark with 2 people watching, and also on what we know to be the Tom D's property for extended, top parking, because the rec center and Shields and Buckskin grass will be for the cars as well as maybe between the barn and also the fire department will be there and the police department so that the kids can play with all the sirens and get to know all that kind of stuff too. Gonna be a family operation.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, anybody want to make a motion?
I move. Adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
So I'll be out at the pickup for those who would like to get a sign. You don't have to pay me that today, but.
How much you selling them for?
I'm taking all the offers on